Hello, welcome to the Driving Technology video series. Today we're going to talk about driving team collaboration. Now, when I talk about collaboration inside of organizations, I usually divide it up into three different areas. There's structured collaboration, there's personal collaboration, and there's team collaboration. I have another video where we talked about personal collaboration and some of the advantages there. So let's talk about team collaboration today. And let's define what team collaboration as opposed to structured or personal collaboration. Structured collaboration are the things that we do as an organization. So as an example, this may be divided out by departments or functional units. So we may have an area for HR to collaborate. We may have an area for accounting or IT to collaborate. That's our structured collaboration. It's usually, we see things like very structured metadata. We see workflows and processes associated with it. Personal collaboration is really about individuals getting work done, and we tend to think of that as our OneDrive for business space. Team collaboration, or ad hoc collaboration as I like to call it, it kind of bridges the gap between the two. And it's defined as things that happen with groups of people, and it happens for usually a fixed period of time. In other words, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of days, maybe a couple of months, right? And the group is often seen as being people who are cross-departmental. So for example, we talked about structured collaboration. I might have a spot for the HR department. Well, what if I've got a team of people who are working on a project that involves people from HR, from IT, from operations, from communications, lots of different people put together. Now, ad hoc collaboration, as we talk about it, or team collaboration, is really designed for things where people can get together and they can do it themselves. So if we have to make a request to IT to get an ad hoc collaboration or a team collaboration site created, it kind of defeats the purpose of that whole concept of ad hoc collaboration. It also tends to slow things down. So what Microsoft has done is provided us with a number of avenues wherein we can actually create ad hoc collaboration sites. The three primary ways of doing that, three primary ways of doing that are, number one, Yammer. Yammer's existed for a long time. It's really Microsoft's enterprise social collaboration area. But what Microsoft has done recently is they have made it so that when you create a Yammer group, you can configure it to also create an Office 365 group at the same time. This means that calendaring and files will actually be stored, and a OneNote notebook will all be stored inside of SharePoint, but you can still use the standard Yammer group communications methodology. So if your people like using that kind of web-based socialization engine, they can continue to use that. But they can also make sure that all of their information is stored in a SharePoint site, which means they can do things like metadata, workflows, and the whole nine yards. Now, the second tool they've given is Microsoft has created something called Office 365 Groups. Now, there's many aspects of O365 Groups, but the one we're really most concerned with is the communication and collaboration aspect. What it gives us is a way for our team to be created on an ad hoc basis. Anybody can go out and create it. It gives us a place to store files. It gives us a OneNote notebook, a tie to a planner, right? That's that SharePoint site. But it also gives us an email address and a calendar inside of Outlook that is shared with the team. Now, the advantage here is it's giving us a communications platform that's different than Yammer, right? For those that prefer an email-type collaboration platform, but still giving us the exact same ability to store documents and to have a OneNote notebook and to have everything that we associated with that. Now, the third thing that Microsoft has come out with relatively recently is something called Teams. What Teams is, it's built on top of the group's infrastructure, so you still have file collaboration, you still have Planner, you still have that ability to have that OneNote. With Teams, what we see there is they've changed the communications interface. So instead of it being email-based or group web-based like it is with Yammer, it's really what they call a persistent chat-based. And so it looks a lot more like Skype, it acts more like Skype, and in fact, you can schedule meetings in it or even have immediate Skype meetings that happen directly out of the Teams interface. In all of these cases, there's a web interface and there's also a mobile interface, a native mobile app for all of those. One thing that the Teams interface gives is a desktop app as well, which is partly where we get that ability to go ahead and integrate with Skype and have Skype-based meetings inside of there. So what we're doing is Yammer, web-based communication in a social framework. Groups is really email communications. Teams is really Skype for business, persistent chat-based communications. But behind the scenes, they all are doing the same thing. They allow our teams, our groups, our ad hoc groups to communicate with each other, whatever preferred method works for them, and still have a persistent file storage behind the scenes. Now, personally, I would looking forward to the day when all of these things are even more integrated, and you can have one person go into Teams, one person go into Yammer, one person go into Groups, and have them all be able to communicate with each other. We're not there yet. We may never be there. I hope that we will be one day, but that remains to be seen. The key here from a business standpoint is this. Why do we care about ad hoc collaboration? Well, this is really about increasing productivity. If I can go out there and take groups that we have outside in my organization, and I can allow them to, without involving IT and at their behest, go out and actually identify that they need to talk to each other, that they can create their group, they can store their files, they can have their communications. That means that we can increase their productivity, because now they don't have to figure out, where do I store these documents in my structured collaboration. They don't have to worry about, hey, will the files still be there in a personal collaboration environment. They can have a group collaboration environment. They can have communications built on top of it, allowing them to go ahead and share information with each other. And they can do it all on their own. So what that means for them is we have made it easier for them to communicate and collaborate, which means increased productivity. And that's one of the goals of driving technology and thus creating our digital transformation inside of our organization. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode and look forward to providing many more to you.